Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders. Thanks to Sportsbet, I'm Roy, Coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Warn Dogs.
And Calvin.
Very excited, Roy.
Bloody oath, we're excited.
Yes.
It feels like now we turn it up a notch.
Does the pre-season start now?
Yes.
Oh, it started.
I mean, we've done a fair bit of running.
It started.
There has been a fair bit. So if you're tuning in for the first time for season 2024, go back and listen to the 18 club previews. Some of our best work, and I'm glad I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. every...
That was hard.
Every second morning to catch up with you guys.
That's pre-season for
It
you.
is. Yeah, it is.
It's extra
Working harder
yards.
than everyone else, I reckon.
Yep.
But no, some good content in there. There's some great content, and there's also some pretty...
Questionable.
And there's the ones I did. Yes.
Yeah, well, actually, I listened back to the Collingwood one, Cal.
Yeah.
You weren't working with much. That's the thing.
No.
It's hard. It's hard. Some teams were harder than others.
Pre-season isn't made to be easy.
Do you know what
Setting
I was
you up
thinking
for the
about
season.
listening to it, though? I was thinking, what are you going to put in the AFL record for your 5 players from Collingwood?
Well, you tune in, mate. Go buy it.
Well, it's coming out. When is it?
Out at all
the 8th,
good bookstores.
The 8th of February is
Yeah.
when that will be dropping.
That's
as
a
they
good
say.
read.
You know, the disappointing part about that isn't the actual writing. The writing's elite.
That's rare for
The
us, isn't it?
photos, Roy.
What's wrong with them?
Where do you start?
The theme
I'm not sure
was
what
great.
happened that day.
Hey?
I'm not sure what happened
I
that day.
don't know either. I put on 10 kilos.
Yeah.
You can
I-
blame all those beers that you had the night before.
Well, that's
Kevin,
true.
I Botoxed my head and lost my neck. I don't know. Why was I standing like that? What an idiot.
No, you can grab that out in the centrefold that it is of the Fantasy Fever.
You might just want to read it this year and not look at the
That's
pictures.
it. Just read it.
I am
Get the
looking
audio
forward
book.
to if there is any social media that may come out around that.
Oh.
One of the worst parts was our pants, though. That was not good.
And it was hot in there.
It was hot.
It was hot in there.
It's in like a little dressing room, essentially,
Yeah.
storage room.
Yep. You had your dance moves on, dog. Dog got right into it.
Got
didn't
into
he?
character.
Didn't he get into it,
That's
Roy?
it.
He was very good. I was just thinking about it. It was a warm room, yet still the front of those pants did not look like a warm room. Anyway, moving
We won't talk
right
about
along.
the fact that you actually put in your little sports socks, Roy. For yours. That is a true story.
I didn't think there was any use for ankle socks in this day and age. I thought they were done.
Well, they're not.
They came back. that day.
Right. Go and get it when it comes out.
Yes.
Great content. It's all happening with the record. And we're looking forward to a big season of that with the content throughout the season too. So pick it up. All good news agents.
Hang on. What pictures will they use through the season? It's not that themed.
Oh.
Is it still the...
I don't know.
We might have to have a word.
We're coming back over. A new photo shoot.
Right, now, if you are into AFL fantasy, maybe for the first time this year or haven't really thought about it, or you got a memory like a goldfish, i.e. Calvin,
Present.
you may have forgotten, or you need to know the fact that things are a little bit different in 2024. And the big thing about that is that we've got this opening round.
Oh, I like it. Yes.
Footy, we get it a week earlier.
Brilliant.
That's great. So
Yep.
it's happening over, well, the March long weekend, which isn't a long weekend for everyone. I
No,
found out.
and even that's
Anyway.
confusing.
It must start on the 7th of March, it does. And we're calling that opening round, or some people are, if you're too lazy to write opening round, R0.
Yes.
Or OR.
Seen
OR.
So it's
I've written a few ORs, Roy.
so that is happening
Yeah.
the weekend before. There's only 4 games on, so that means there's only 8 teams playing that weekend, which means that fantasy isn't starting that week because it would just be
That'd
stupid.
be stupid.
Some people
Stupid
want
of me.
it. Some people want it starting
Passionately too.
and some people want it for draft, which is even more wild that people would want to
I love it.
start
They
draft.
just want to get
Good on
into it, Roy, don't they?
Well, the thing is, it's going to be a great weekend because we get to get a little bit of a look at some plays in real games. Not just match simulation, not just little Mickey Mouse community series games.
It's like real life cheating.
It is. It is.
And it's allowed.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome.
Up, down, down.
I'm going to call it like
Yeah.
a swingers party, Roy.
That's what we'll call it.
Swingers.
It's better than opening round.
Swingers round.
That'll work. Now, so that's happening, and therefore those teams that are playing the opening round
Swing around.
are going to have a bye. And they're having those early, and they're happening over rounds 2, 3, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
2 teams at a time, and it is, it's a massive thing for us in fantasy because we have to be thinking about that. And it has changed the way that we are thinking about picking our teams. Like, we're not going in just going, I'm just going to pick my best squad of 30 that I can.
Yeah.
Because we've got those teams on buys. And I guess we can discuss the rules to start with. Let's
Yes.
go with the classic game, which is what most people are putting their time into at the moment because we've got your squad there that you can start picking. And what we've got is for those 4 rounds in the early buys, well, actually all buy rounds have a best 18.
Yeah.
So normally you have 22 players on field. Your best 18 scores count. They must be coming from within your 22. Emergency rules will kick in if there is a donut on field and it's needed, but only if that then gets into your best 18 scorers. But anyway, think about
it's
it.
well rehearsed at that.
Think about it as your best 18 players. You need to have 18 in each of those buy rounds.
No, and hats off to Dog for coming up with this. He came up with this idea.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Direct
take the
your
credit because people
feedback
actually
his
like it, I
way.
think.
Yeah, people have got
do.
Most people do.
Yeah, it's a good idea,
But
Dog.
if you don't, tell him.
Yeah. At Warnie DT.
Anyway,
Carry on.
Yes.
those are 4 early buy rounds are treated a little bit differently in the sense that there's only 2 trades per week. In the mid-season buys, we get 3 trades.
3 trades.
Yeah, because they generally, apart from one of them, have more teams on a buy in those weeks. And also it's a bit of a different time of the year. I think that's probably one of the factors why it is just 2 trades, is it is at the start of the year. So I think there'd probably
You should be able to manage it.
We should be able to. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Anyway, so how that's going to work, round 2 has Brisbane and Carlton in round 3, Gold Coast and GWS. In round 5, it is Collingwood and Sydney, and round 6 is Melbourne and Richmond. Now, I guess one of the things that we've started thinking about in the classic game is probably some strategy.
Yeah.
And the simple one is, Roy, you've just been basically looking at minimising players that have an opening, play in the opening round that have an early bye.
Yep, that's exactly what I've been looking at. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time, just take a deep breath because I know what you're feeling. You're angry, you're disappointed. You're not even playing. No. Some people aren't even playing now.
Spat it.
Normally that takes about 24 hours from the dumbest bit of saying, I'm not even playing, to going back out there to play.
We went through that as well. Yeah, we did. But now we're here. It's like, get to have a look at these guys.
Yes.
It's just like a little bit of different strategy, same game.
Embrace the challenge.
Well, and I actually have.
Oh,
I can't believe it. I'm not even just saying it. I'm all good with it now.
Agree.
It's a big backflip. Now,
and Roy can dummy spit with the best of them as well.
And
you've actually witnessed a dummy spit from Roy. Calvin, as his former coach in basketball.
Yeah.
He saw some bad.
Where do you rank him?
Multiple technical fouls, unsportsmanlike fouls, ejections even.
Not many.
You've had a few.
I usually know where to draw the line. Now, we want to minimise picking people that are coming off this bye for obvious reasons, because we've got to be thinking about the fact, how many points are we losing? So you might think, I'll just get a rookie to cover Sam Walsh that week.
Yep.
But you're picking Sam Walsh thinking he's going 110, 115. You remember when we get into the season, we're like going, please get to 50 with these rookies.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points right there. So Sam Walsh is my prime example of a guy that in an ordinary season, my first 2 picks almost would be Sam Walsh and Tom Green.
Yeah.
Yep. Both 2 guys who are underpriced, right age, tracking in the right direction. I think they're both going to be uber premiums this year. I want them both in my team, but given that they have a guaranteed week off in that first 6 weeks, and Walsh's is the second week.
Yeah, and
I'm finding it really hard to justify picking him. I think it's going to leave us, 100, 200 points behind the good teams or the better teams over that first 6 weeks period. And I don't think we'd catch that back up.
So even these early buys, they're almost split a little bit too.
Yes.
In like you've got that Brisbane and Carlton one in round 2, even Gold Coast and GWS for round 3.
Yes.
It's super early. You're getting 1 or 2 games out of those players. That's hard, where it might feel a little bit different with, Melbourne at the back end in round 6.
Yep,
so
it does feel different.
a Max Gone, for example.
Yes.
You're not probably having the same buy feeling about Max as what you might be about someone else.
Because we're going to have probably realistically 2 or 3 forced trades in that first 6 weeks anyway. So then what are we worried about there with Max? Right. So that 6 weeks one, that's a little bit different. But copying Walshy, who I would have as probably the best value pick in the game this year.
Yep.
Well, if there were no buys and we were playing as normal, he'd be one of your first picks.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we can do it.
But there's exceptions.
There's
exceptions to the rule where you can still be picking a player if you think their value
is enough
to warrant that early buy.
Yes.
For example, your Zach Williams. Now, if he comes out in swingers round right, and dominates...
I don't think this will catch on.
No, I don't think we'll. We'll go back to... If he comes out in opening round,
bring your keys. Yep.
Right. Yep. If he comes out in that round and pumps out and this is where we talk about a line.
Yeah.
What's the line for Zach Williams? If he comes out and has a 60, you got to go, well, I'm glad I didn't touch that.
Well, it's probably not enough.
So it's going to come down to a break even, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is something we're trying to find out. Will we get a break even? It'd be nice
to see it.
If it doesnn't happen, there'll be some good nerds out there.
They'll
hint, hint.
We
Jaden
will. Jaden will get us the number.
He'll get us the number.
But there'll be, because they'll have essentially a new break even based on what they scored there in round 0. And then they'll have their 2 price change. And that's something, I guess, to jump in now and say that.
Yes.
Is that these players will have 2 price movements after round 1, if they play in both rounds there. So that's something that, I guess it's very important to understand that. And so we talk about that line. They've got to score a certain amount. So they'll have a break even at the moment. So let's say that you've got your Zach Williams.
Yep.
What's he priced at? 49? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. So his 442K is equivalent to 49 points. That's his break even as such.
Yes.
We won't get into too much technicality of what really is a break even and how the magic number changes a little bit at the start of the season. But let's use that as a pretty simple figure and then go, if he scores 60, he goes up in price.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be enough to be able to take that hit? And that's where that line bit comes in.
And it's interesting, a guy like Zach, because I've had a look at the Scarlett Hardentroy.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yes. And for Zach, he's against Brisbane. It's a red team.
It is.
Yeah,
no, it's a tough start for him. So that can mean a couple of things. So if he comes out and still looks all right and you like his role and he's had that tough matchup, you might still roll with him if it fits your structure. Because you're not going to lose many points covering Zach with probably a midfield rookie, realistically. So that he's still fine. I tick him off. Now, he'll force your hand if he comes out and has 90.
Yes.
You might as well just get him and have him in your team, save a trade later to bring him in as a bit of a mid-price cash cow.
Yep. So we've talked about we get a free look at in this opening round, but like a Brodie Grundy, obviously has an early round bye. He's up against Max Gawn.
Yes.
Where Max can dish it out.
He can.
So Grundy you can still score well against him, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think so. Grundy could come out with a 70.
Yeah.
And people are going to be spooked by that.
Oh, big time.
Yes. So there'll be a lot of shuffling in that first week.
At the moment, we're thinking, Zach Williams can still be picked, regardless, pretty much.
Yep.
Right? That's fine, because he's at that price of 49. What I want to know is, where does Walsh force your hand? Okay. What if he comes out and has... So his break-even would be like, I think it was like 94 or something.
Yep.
If he comes out and has 120... I mean, it is a tough matchup for him as well, but his finals form
he can do it.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
So if he comes out and has 120, can you cover
that's pretty decent, isn't it?
It's a shuffle.
It is.
Yeah.
So then are you happy to have him and cover him for the week?
See, I'm probably still a no.
And I would understand that.
Because I guess
you can target him from round 3 when you do cop that injury, that forced trade.
Yep.
What round will he not be a bargain anymore?
Well, there you go.
Well, so
That's
he'll
another
have
question.
2 price movements before his buy.
Yeah.
So he could be priced at an average of
He might move up
105 very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. So that could happen fairly quickly.
Do you know what another thing in play here is? If we see a couple of rookies
Oh, yes.
that come out and smash it,
Yep.
you probably will have a bit more courage in covering either Tom Green or Sam Walsh, thinking, well, if I could get another 80 out of that guy, that would be enough.
With the roles that we hear these rookies are playing.
Exactly.
Colby and Harley Reid coming off the back line.
So you might have that. Because this is where my strategy's gone to as well, is that I'm probably looking more at guns and rookies because of those 4 rounds that are happening within the first 6 weeks of the season, is that you are taking a best 18. So if you've got more premium players playing, that's what you want. But again, it is going to be a little bit about those rookies. Like, if you're getting enough from them, maybe you've got... Well, I guess the guns and rookies should still work better.
Yeah.
But you might be able to cover, or you might be able to get away with a little bit more with still being able to take some of those mid-price guys.
Do you know what I like to now? I've shifted. I don't usually chase points, so to speak, but I've looked at these guys in my starting squad, and I really want the high ceiling guys, because if you can get one of those, Brayshaw, for example, is someone who can pump a 150.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have him, and he's pumping a 150 and someone else is covering their primo that's out with a rookie, the advantage is humongous. I don't want to miss one of those high ceiling guys.
Agree.
It's going to be interesting.
So I'm maybe even 2020 mode, chasing points in the first 6 rounds.
Yes.
Chasing ceilings more than the sustainability that I usually look at.
I don't want to call it now, but we could be ranked inside the top 10 right? In the first 6 weeks. If we keep this up, right, and we don't share this strategy with anyone, we're going to be there, Roy.
I think the biggest thing is going to evolve a lot. What our strategy is and the players that will sort of make up that, as they do anyway, but more so, I think what we see in the community series games, but then going into that round 0 and that opening round games, I don't want to say don't lock in a team now or anything, but stuff will change then.
Oh, mega.
Well, we've had disgusting flexibility after pre-season games. Where we've just plucked people like Errol Gould out based on one good score.
No, you can't pick him. He's not scoring 177 each week.
No, he didn't need to, mate.
Classic cow. Classic cow.
Anyway, that's it. For those draft coaches out there, that opens up very soon. I think we're a week or so away from being able to have our first drafts, which some people go, oh, couldn't it be opened earlier? Like, yeah, it could be, but you're a bit of a madman.
Yeah, you're a psycho, mate. Settle down.
Draft this early, but I do understand that for some keeper leagues or people wanting to do slow drafts and stuff like that, which is important in there. But that'll be going very soon. So what you can do for draft, a few different options. One of the things is just play through it, which I think is what we'll do. And so our drafting will basically, in the corner of your head, just go, well, don't have too many from that 1 week. Or you can just throw that week. It may not matter if you did end up with too many from one round there. It might make your free agents more active. People might be doing that, or even trading. So that's where it is. But what the cool thing is that they've opened up for free for all commissioners. So all leagues will be able to run with the edit scores feature. So there's a few different ideas that float around there. Probably my favourite is, based on this year and how that works, I think having the using that opening round score for when your player has that early buy. I think that's the one that sits nicely with me.
Well, that's what's happening.
But we're not doing it.
Oh, we're not doing it.
Because I'm too lazy to go and edit the scores.
No, fair call.
But I think that's the one that would work.
Yeah, I think it would work.
Probably the only little caveat on that, but although it does make draft day interesting as well. If you draft before they play, it makes it probably fairer. Oh. But if you're drafting after, knowing that, Brodie Grundy scored 153, he moves up the draft order just because you know you're going to get that in round 6 or whenever he plays.
Without a doubt.
Wow.
Put a C on him.
You would? Oh. Jeez.
Wow. Well, you might have to work out some gentleman agreements with some
gentleman agreements.
However that works in draft, I'm not sure. But plenty of different options there, and the season will be just as fun. And, as we mentioned, probably a fun challenge, I think.
I like it, Roy.
The strategy's there, and it should be easy enough for everyone to understand. And when the decisions were made, we go, you've got your hardcore coach like Roy that embraces challenge, that can do anything.
Yeah.
And you got Keavinator.
You got your simple coaches.
Make sure Keavinator goes.
Everyone needs to be involved, Roy.
Yeah. I turned my frown upside down.
You did,
pretty quickly.
You did.
All right, guess what, boys?
What?
We traditionally start off these pre-season podcasts, or our first little one back after the round previews, with having a look at the club previews, with having a look at some track watching.
Oh,
because there is nothing better at the moment than seeing people tweet out, jump on the forums, go and find some information about who's playing in the midfield.
Look, we've got some
Sims.
elite scouts out there, Roy.
Well,
there are some very good
coming
ones.
up with the reward, the trophy at the end of
Journalist
the year for the Journalist of the Year.
There's
It seems to be a lot of them
out
throwing
there.
their hats in the ring, left, right and centre.
Some are working very hard. One of them, who is probably one of the hardest working, is David King.
Kingy.
He just knows.
He knows.
What
He
fantasy
wants it.
coach. He's going to every Everything.
Well done, Kingy.
Yeah.
A bit like I've made AFL ratings Pete. He's been to a lot as
Pete's
well.
been doing
He's
very
been
well.
there, but everything we're seeing is good intel. Whether it's, it's intel. Whether it's good intel or bad intel, we don't know. Because one thing, Calvin, when they're playing a scratch match against each other in an intra-club game, what do you have to remember?
Number one, North Melbourne. I love North Melbourne. North Melbourne are playing against North Melbourne.
Yes.
Right? Everyone's in the midfield, Roy.
There's a lot of mid spots
You can't have just 4 or 5 midfielders. There's 10 of them.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone, half the team's in the middle.
You're a mid. You're a mid. You're a mid.
Just calm your farm on that, people. Right. Play on, dog.
Right, yeah. That's
And West
important.
Coast still play against West Coast. Like, of course they're going to dominate.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what we thought, we would go around the grounds. We'll start like almost state by state with some of the intel that we've found. So some of it, take it with a grain of salt.
You got to
might
with
be
everything
real.
this time of year, but it doesn't mean it's any less
But it's probably
delicious.
good to be in the know about some of these injuries and some of these roles that we have found. So let's start in Queensland, and we'll start the furthest north, and that's Brisbane. So a couple that I've found here, and this is one, because we spoke about him a few days ago, Devon Robertson.
Oh, Dev.
I like him.
Oh, yes.
Cheap enough
He's
to be
very cheap.
looking at.
Yeah.
He had some wrist surgery in the after the season. Had some complications, had another surgery. So just a bit of a watch there, and that might just be enough just to go. But again, he probably will play the pracky matches. So
I hope so.
we'll see how that goes. And they've got a couple there, and it's important for clientele to know that Duday's earlier in the year after his ACL, and then Ashcroft's mid-year. So a couple of bodies there, and we talked about that on that podcast too, of like the Cluggage pretty much got the mid-clock from Ashcroft.
Yep.
That's how that worked. Gold Coast, Lockie Weller, he's an ACL as well, so he's mid-year. But this was the one that I did like, and I'll make DC from Hat Chat. He was a Connor Buderick fan a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't blame
Who
you.
wasn't?
And-
We all were, Roy.
He's a defender, 504k. It's one of those awkward prices. He's had sort of injuries over his career, but he's looking good with Hardwick, his new coach, Damian. He's identified a half-back role for him. Now, that's the new more midfield time.
It is.
It's the juicy role for some
100%.
players.
Yep.
Now, he said he sees him similar to Jaden Short or Liam Baker.
And a Basher Hooley, Roy. Well, that's what I said.
That's what Dimmer had points flowing from them.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one to watch in draft because he's going to slide
big time.
way down.
Yep.
Bang.
Yep. All right, let's move to New South Wales. Aaron Cadman.
Caddy.
He's flying.
Yeah, he would be.
Is
cheap.
he?
Yeah.
He's so cheap. He could
Could
play
be
on
a
the
bench,
couldn't he?
Could be a bench option.
Yes.
As long as he doesn't have to cover.
The problem is, though, here's the stat, though, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Off the top of
It's
my
a
head.
slow burn.
It
That's
is,
not
isn't
even a burn. All right, I'm telling you now. So in his games last year, he was best in a few.
Yeah, he's a key position forward,
But mate,
In
his highest score out of the vest was 37. All right.
Take that in your 18. mate.
So no. I'm with you. He's flying, yes, but no.
Right.
We will find someone better than that.
But, Cal, what if there is a rookie crisis? He'll be playing.
Look, Cadman. He's a jet.
Yes.
I think we give him a go if he's named.
No, you don't.
We won't need him in our 18.
He's got to be clicked on your little favourite button and know that he's there as one of your players. That's how I use my favourites mostly of the cash cows.
Do you?
Yeah. Good strategy.
I like that idea.
Well, then
That's a good idea.
you've got a little bit of a watch list of the guys that could be there.
Good thinking.
That's great thinking. No
Do you
wonder
use your favourite button?
I do. No wonder you're ranked inside the top 20,000. You're out of the game.
We
dog.
might have to have a pretty good wager this year about Keidean versus Warnie Dogs. I'm feeling very comfortable.
Okay, moving on.
Just from GWS as well, Toby Green doesn't reckon he's moving into the midfield,
Oh,
but he mentioned old mate Brent Daniels, but Darcy Jones,
Ah.
who's a 200k forward. Injuries obviously been an issue for him. Just another one. Click your little favourite.
100%.
Yes.
Because DJ, he's a favourite
Yes,
of mine.
he is.
I wrote about him a bit last year.
Yeah.
I've got my eye on him.
Do you?
Do you know what I'm going to do?
What?
Log in and favourite him.
Favourite him.
I would.
Now at Sydney, we're not getting a lot of news out of Sydney.
No.
Apart from some good photos of BG there looking happy.
Yes.
Brody Grundy's looking very happy.
Yeah, he
doesn't
is.
He isn't he ever?
Yeah,
He's looking
90
good.
plus happy.
Yes.
Taylor Adams going to be in the midfield?
Yes.
Yeah, coward. Hater.
No, I'm not a hater.
Well, that's
It's not hate.
See, strategy-wise, he is in my squad still at the moment. I can't bump that out.
I can.
That's going to be a very big round zero score that we're going to need to watch on there to see if
time.
that's...
And the role. What if he is high CBAs?
Yep. What if he...
Tell you what, high CBA, not groundbreaking score, I'm still launching.
Oh, are you?
Oh,
Yeah.
You're a sicko.
Yeah.
So what's
I've
he
got
at?
a
About
fair bit of
75 or
faith.
so, isn't he?
10 plus minimum.
And the Callum Mills stuff, he's mid-season essentially
Right.
for him, is what it's still looking like. I've heard people report that it could be, earlier in the season and all that. No, everything's all really sound like it's mid-season, so it's going to be quite a few weeks with that Mad Monday injury. All right, that's New South Wales done. Let's look at Victoria. We'll go in alphabetical order here. Carlton, Roy,
Devastating.
Jack Silvani, ACL.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Very important player, despite some people not believing so.
So what does it mean for them?
Not a whole lot, really.
Yeah.
Like they shuffled around him a fair bit at the end of last year anyway. So business as normal. Obviously a spot for someone
Binsey?
pops up. I hope so, but when I was looking at Carlton's projected 22 for round one, I probably had Binsey in the emergency still because they're pretty strong even without Jack.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Binsey's there for us, but
He'll be in the mix.
The
He'll
other
play
one-
this year. He'll be a downgrade target.
Zach Williams looking like he's in full training or close enough to it.
Yep.
Zewu, Roy.
See him? Mo? Sees Mo?
Yeah. It's just
Confidence. It
sick
reeked
Mo.
of confidence.
Does. Yeah.
Epic.
As good as yours.
Better.
Footy record as good as yours.
Anyone is better than what I produced that day.
Anyway, he's going to be one to watch. The Blues will definitely be very much on our watch list to see how they're going. And
What do you reckon with Z-Will? 75 plus kind of areas? The way he's looking.
with the way he's looking, like Mo wise.
Yeah, Mo, rig, confidence, roll. It's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there.
To rock a Mo like that is a different level of confidence.
I think you could
Get that in the stat column.
break your rookie rule and give him a little favourite star.
Oh, well,
Put him in
maybe
there.
it's a sub 500k player.
Yeah.
Hey,
But,
Find a way to get him in there, dog.
You get him in there, dog.
Favourite him.
Let's go to Collingwood now. Finlay Macrae getting a bit of a tick, bit of hype, bit of talk about him.
Yes, I'm hearing the talk.
There's enough, yeah.
You reckon he's going to walk? Can he do it?
I don't see him in the best 22.
Don't you?
No, I don't. He's very popular, and a lot of people have him on field in their teams, and I get that. That's
I get
fine.
that too.
It's a perfect sort of price and player to have there.
310.
With that potential.
Yeah, agree,
We all know
agree.
what he can score like.
There is a spot with Adams obviously
Yeah.
leaving,
Yeah.
and the age of the others as well. So Pendle's
Yeah.
chippy, and
It feels like the time is now. It's why he's
agree.
been there.
Dominated VFL. He's done all the right things.
He's been there a little while.
Yeah.
Got a vest written all over him, I reckon.
Doesn't he ever?
Well, the other one like that, I guess, is Reef McInnes. He keeps
Yeah.
getting talked up. I'm seeing him out of lots of reports. Kingy.
Well, if Kingy's saying it,
Kingy's saying
my
it.
ears are pricking up.
And players are as well. Like when they're talking about, who's been burning up the
Yeah.
track? And Reef McInnes.
So he's a 285
Yeah.
forward.
So it's
Forward, Roy.
I've had
Yeah.
history with Reef. I
Yeah.
know his game well.
And look
So
at
it
the
might
picture,
be
Roy.
that-
Look at the picture. What do you see straight away?
Confidence.
Mo.
That is a thumping Mo.
That's a confident Mo.
Now, I don't know how many of these photos have been taken just yet for the updates for this year, but if any players are listening,
Yeah.
go
on, Mo.
For the
Go on, Mo.
when old Michael Wilson goes in there to take your photo.
Do it, please.
I want to see more of it.
Oh, everyone's got a Mo.
In saying that, Oleg Markov, he's gone the choppers now.
Has
'Cause
he?
shaved off his little
did he?
curly thing. I think he did it like for a charity type thing, but
He's a funny dude. I like him.
he's
That's
right.
a good Mo too.
Yes, it was.
That's Collingwood done. Let's talk about the Bombers. Now,
Here we go.
no, not much here to say. Drapes could be there round one now.
Oh, who cares?
No, well, you do because you love your Goldberg.
I do love Goldberg.
Me and keeper.
Yeah,
My
so
only draft. Ruck. I used to have Goldie too.
Thing is, though, Drapes needs to sit full forward. There's no room in the middle with big
well,
Goldie.
yeah.
What? He's a threat up there.
Nah, he needs to go. Goldie's, give it to him. He'll be fine We don't want Drapes in there.
All right.
I'm telling you now.
Moving on from the Bombers. Going to keep them a secret because they've got the most stacked midfield in the comp. That's actually one of the biggest issues. There's a lot of guys that could get midfield time, but probably won't because they're so stacked.
Are you saying there's too many mouths to feed?
Yep.
The Bombers?
Yep.
Stop it.
You got Zach.
Yep. And there we go.
You got Darcy.
After daylight.
And then there's a lot of players that want to be that
Of course
third
they
banana.
want to be. Of course they want to be the third banana.
do. They're also average.
Who's the third banana in the ranking order at Essendon?
Oh, I don't know. There's
No,
so many
no
of
one
them.
does.
All those guys they've picked up that have
Got
just
Caldwell,
not delivered.
Yep.
One,
Setterfield.
Caldwell.
Oh, don't you start on Setterfield.
Gresham.
Sardis.
Have you ever
Hobbs.
heard him say Gresham with such
Hobbsy.
excitement? Hobbsy.
Hobbsy. He's probably the third banana.
Oh, see, look, you could throw a blanket over him and it's not a good blanket. It's a
It's
dirty
depleted.
old one.
You are.
Anyway, moving on.
Can get started on the back line as well.
Is there genuine excitement? Sorry to get off topic.
Nick Martin.
Is
He's
there,
going back.
given how active you guys were in the off-season, you obviously think you're in some sort of a window. I'm not sure where it's headed to, but is there excitement?
Yeah. Premiership. Bombers will
Top
win their
8.
first final
Okay.
in however long it's
right.
been.
I'll
I don't know
take
how
it.
That's
many
all I
days it
wanted
is.
to hear.
Right, let's play on. Geelong got nothing. They give us nothing.
They
Hawthorn, Will Day, stress fracture in his foot. So round 1 is a question mark, which obviously their midfield mix. He's straight in there.
Yep.
You think.
of course.
Him and
Yep.
Duke Newcomb, they're probably the two key ones. So
Yep.
there's probably going to be a few little throw a blanket over them.
Yep.
They probably think they're as stacked as Essendon. I've got news for them. They're not. But they've got a few that will float through that midfield as well. So that's going to be a watch to see what that looks like, which is the other side of it. When we do get excited about a round 1 team and stuff like that, Will Day, it's like fighting for round 1. If he's not there round 1, he may be close enough. And so you're locking into someone that you think might be, starting in the midfield.
Yeah.
May not be forever.
No.
Karl Amon is moved to defence. So we saw that at the end of last year, but that's where it's looking like from the training report.
Okay, that's relevant.
Very relevant.
Massive. Because he's midfield only, but on the short list for DPP additions.
And his numbers.
scoring,
Like
what he
his
does. Yes.
scores back
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
It make him an absolute bargain.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, out of that too, this is interesting. Old Blake Hardwick's been training with the Fords.
Blake.
So because they've got a few of these guys
Yeah.
going to the back line,
Okay.
Hardwick, yeah.
It's
got
interesting,
blokes
isn't
like
it?
Weddle.
Because he played well last year.
Yeah.
He had a good year.
He did.
But if he was like a defensive forward or something,
So that's even one of them there,
you wouldn't want him on
CJ.
you.
No.
CJ's training on the wing. So,
wow.
And Connor McDonald and Cam McKenzie are in the guts as well. So they're probably those couple that'll be floating through in that under that blanket there. Melbourne, Oliver, probably still no news to report. I feel like the longer this takes, though, the more weeks at the start of the season he misses.
Yeah, he keeps slipping in draft rankings.
Draft is crazy. We've got our draft kit coming out next week, I think it is. And like,
Where do you take
Second
Where did you
round.
guys put him in your midfield rankings?
yeah, it's sitting around 10.
Yeah,
which I don't know why. Like,
No, I was embarrassed. He dropped out of my 10.
Wow.
where in 6 months ago you might have had him at number 1.
Yes.
As your midfield. rank.
He will win you draft or lose you draft.
He won't lose me draft because I will not touch him.
So that midfield, they're throwing a few blokes through there. One of them,
We neither.
Trent Rivers, getting a bit of midfield
No.
block.
Okay. And I love this intel and I love this info, but we cannot,
No.
I repeat, cannot just change our teams and end up with people like Trent Rivers.
Defender status.
Okay. In. No, but seriously, this is where we come unstuck all the time.
Coach of the Manzacks will be happy because he had a lot of swag about picking him in our keeper league right from the start, and he's delivered him.
The thing is with Rivers that we all need to understand is no mo. So
right.
None at all.
What about
No.
Bailey Laurie? Does he have a mo?
Bailey Laurie.
Right, because
Bill.
he has been getting a little bit of stuff. You're not going to know how to spell his name, are you? Laurie.
I'm just going to type in Bailey. Got him.
Got him, yes!
No mo.
No mo. Right, can't pick him.
Really?
So
A shadow?
Angus Brayshaw is back into training now after those concussion issues that he's had. Salem, bit of hamstring awareness for him, and Ben Brown's going to miss a few weeks with a knee, and Fullerton too. So pretty much their only backup ruck as such.
You know how you're talking about Holiday bump into AFL players?
Yeah.
Saw Ben Brown?
Did you?
Did you hear it? He was actually moving quite well. I wonder if that's a new fresh knee. He was moving. He was moving.
Yeah, I
very
think
well.
it was recently.
Yep.
Oh, good
Told
news.
ya.
Well, speaking
Sources.
of
Awesome sources.
big men, we're going to look at North Melbourne here, and big man Tristan Cherry, the ex-Airy, had some surgery on his face.
Come on.
I know. Face surgery.
Face surgery.
Yeah, not good.
Face off.
Maybe he's that before his AFL record photo shoot. That might be the secret to it. Getting a bit of face surgery to get it done. He's not going to miss any running, so he should be right.
Hey, you don't run with your face. That's the key.
You don't want to trip and fall on it.
I'd use any excuse not to run though as well.
Oh, come on. I just got a new face. Nah, get out there, X-Man.
Anyway, the X-Man, one to watch. I don't know if it changes any of your thinking a little bit.
Where do you guys sit with the X at the moment?
Lock and load.
Yeah.
I cannot waver from it.
No, neither can I. Ownership is lower than I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
It's like under 20%.
Well, have you seen the size of the island? It's not very big. When this turns to crap, I don't have room to fit everyone
but does
in.
this sort of raise a bit of a red flag on the island?
No.
Doesn't.
No, ownership is right where we want it.
But
at
is this
the
the
moment.
sort of thing the X does, though, is it?
Like the facial
Facial
surgery?
fracture.
Yeah. No, as long as he's not missing running,
Yeah.
he's safe in my team.
Okay.
Now, Zach Fisher, hamstring awareness for him, but it wasn't too bad, apparently.
Wasn't it?
But still, he's had a few issues.
This
that
worried
Fisher.
me. This worried me.
Because this is, like, he's a bit of a pick that I really want to make in my forward line.
Yes.
Because it sounds like that half-back role is a very live option.
Look, I know we're getting very excited about that half-back role, but it is 100% real.
Yeah.
And as a
At North
forward-
Melbourne.
But they're
and
stacked
at
back
North
there at
Melbourne.
half.
Think about what
I know,
North
that's the
Melbourne,
worry.
like Zeeble, Sheasel, Aaron
Yeah.
Hall, these guys on the
Access to
half-back,
points.
they rack up back
Oh,
there.
it's just value for that. Even if he,
The fact is a forward in the thin
Yes.
forward line.
Yes.
And his numbers as a half-back are very impressive.
Yep.
Gosh, yeah, we need him to get over
Right,
that
moving to
hamstring.
Richmond at Punt Road there. Gibcus almost doing all the training, so that hamstring, like, he's not going to score heaps, but he could be one of those heartbeats, because I don't think defence were really locked and loaded with who our cheap guys are.
No.
Not too many with the old star that I'm totally comfortable with at the moment.
No,
Cal.
he's 256 as well.
Yeah, but still.
Hey, a heartbeat's a heartbeat, dog.
Hey, Dog's willing to pay up for red dots.
Yeah. Rookie crosses.
Tom Lynch, he should be better this year, considering he only played a few games last year and got hurt. But they've said they're being smart with him, which doesn't sound great. Because he's sort of someone that I feel like in draft,
Because
you're bumping him up because I think he's got a 50-odd next to his name. But, yeah.
he looks like he's a bargain in draft because he's astronomically
Now,
low
Dusty's interesting because he's been hitting PBs in the gym.
Has he?
In the gym.
Bump into him, Roy, did you?
Had a bit of an ankle tweak, but he should be all good for
Dusty and
practice matches.
PBs. That excites me.
Yes.
Yep. Is he number 2 on the forward list?
He's very high.
I think he is, isn't he?
Man,
On
oh
average
man.
from last year.
Number one.
You keep an eye on that.
Yes, definitely.
Keep an eye. Right, moving on to St Kilda. So, Kingy. He loved a bit of Windhager and Owens. Now, Windhager, we've talked about his rig.
Yes.
He'd be up there.
The
That
Bulldog.
might be something later in the pre-season. We'll have to do our top 10 rigs from the pre-season. That could be a very
He's up
important bit
there.
of... he would be in there, the Bulldog. Now, Max Heath has been talked up, Cal.
Heathy.
So is he your R3?
Okay, why is he being talked up?
Because he's...
Because they're doing match
Doing
sim,
well,
right? So Rowan
He's the
Marshall,
number one ruck.
Rowan Marshall, he's rucking against
blue
Blue.
team.
He's not going up against Windhager, is he? Right. So Max Heath, yes, he's in the middle.
Yes.
All right, Western Bulldogs.
No.
Now, Tim English was missing a fair bit of training throughout the pre-season so far from migraines. They called it a bit of an illness. So apparently it's not concussion related, which he's had issues with before, but that's got to still be some little bit of a flag.
Yeah, if you were planning on starting with him, that's enough to say
That's enough.
Yeah.
I'm not paying top dollar.
No. Is he still your number one pick in draft?
I think you can still go to those areas.
I think
yes.
so.
Yeah.
Riley Sanders. Believe the hype. It's all real. Pick him.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Baz Lenker, if you missed that one, that was an ACL pre-Christmas, so we've got that. Let's head now to South Australia, and we'll start with the Crows. Your Crows, Cow. You
boys.
would have been down at what's their home ground called? Amy Stadium? That's where they do it. West Lakes? That's where
Yeah,
they are, aren't
down
they?
West
That's where
Lakes.
it was.
That's it. Yeah.
Everything's
Park.
all positive, mostly about Dan Curtin. He had a bit of knee soreness, but
But who doesn't?
yeah,
Let's be honest.
That's true.
is he 45 next year like you as well?
Has he got any cartilage?
Nah.
Can he share some?
So we'll see what the Crows are looking like. That's going to be a very interesting club to look at over the pre-season because you've got that midfield cow. Is it going to be old mate Matt Crouch in there?
It is going to be
Crouchy.
Crouchy.
It is.
It is going to be Crouchy.
If Crouch is in the midfield, he doesn't average under 90.
No.
Does he?
No.
And Port Adelaide, been a few little fan reports as such. One of those, Louis from Pod. Saw that today, actually. He's saying that old mate Jordon Sweet, number one ruck.
Oh, get out.
Not sure which team it was.
There
but
we go.
no, it was
I'm
in
with you,
the
Louis.
one team.
No, look, there
Hang
is
on.
this little crew of us within the community that know what is happening with Sweetie, and no one else is seeing it.
So
Fill me in.
He's playing, and he is number one ruck.
So in this match sim,
Yes.
Sweetie
Yes.
rucked
Yes.
for one team.
Yes.
Soldo rucked for the other.
Probably.
Most likely.
I reckon Sweetie is going to be the number one ruck, and Big Soldo will start forward.
Obviously, they're going to share it. Obviously, right? So you think Sweetie,
Yes.
would you pay up for him to be on
He
your bench?
wants to.
Potentially, yeah.
360 odd.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a massive cash cow.
Massive cash cow.
Yeah.
we're going to talk positions coming up over the next couple of weeks.
Jeebus.
And when we get
You
to
imagine
rucks,
when
there's going to be
Soldo-
some good strategy to
There will.
discuss there.
You imagine after a few weeks when Soldo, look, I don't want to wish injuries, but like he has been injury prone. Sweetie will be too expensive for the non-starters, people to get him.
Yeah.
But he's just going to then average 85 plus from there.
You're forgetting
Solo
one.
ruck.
You're forgetting one thing.
Imagine
What
the cash
Soldo have that Sweetie doesn't? Sick Mo.
Oh, he does.
He does. Yeah.
Soldo wins that.
Confident
Okay,
Mo.
back in my box.
The other one that was probably worth having a look at here is old Josh Sin. This is what Louis did say as well.
Sinders.
Halfback flank in the ones.
What? Halfback what?
Isn't that more halfback flank time?
Sin he is.
Yeah.
Who needs midfield time?
So the thing is, and when I looked at him, 257k.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Mid only though.
Oh, interesting.
That's still favoured.
That's a massive favourite.
Yeah.
Already been done, mate.
Has it?
I reckon.
That's your homework now. And
Sinders.
everyone listening, go and favourite all those cheap players that you're keeping an eye on.
Yeah. Because I was doing a bit of writing about Port, and I just wanted to find something to back in the Sin, but I couldn't find a thing.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard of it.
Yep.
My goodness,
Louis
if I
wouldn't
could have
lie
my
either,
time
I reckon.
again.
No. Track watchers, well done.
All right, now, finally, WA is where we've got to go. And this is where it's all happening, boys. It's been absolutely up and about with little bits of news coming out and just fantasy relevance.
Fantasy
And
capital of Australia.
well, it is the fantasy capital of Australia, and we love it. And we love Nathan Schmook, one of the leaders, I reckon, at this stage of the season, the AFL Fantasy Journal of the Year. Schmooky, welcome, mate.
Good morning. How you going, boys? Bit of Australia Day reporting. I reckon that's got to get me some votes from last week.
Oh, yeah, no,
very
that's good. If you
impressive.
get
Public
out there-
holiday, yes.
Yeah.
Get out there Australia Day and checking out some stuff. You've been looking at a fair bit. You've only been back on deck for a week, but I tell you what, you've crammed a fair bit into your week being there as our man in the West.
Yeah, it's always, I reckon, first week back, blow out the cobwebs and get down and have a look at these teams. And I got a good look at Freo last week and one session at West Coast too. And on the ground this morning, just having a look at the Eagles as well. They're doing a bit of AFLX type match sim, so some of it a bit different, but yeah, a few standouts there anyway.
Schmooky, just off topic fantasy wise, but do you think that AFLX strategy will get them off the bottom of the ladder?
Hey, they've got to try something. They've got to try
Cool.
something, and they didn't have numbers on the track last year, so maybe they're preparing for a similar situation. But no, they did some full match sim last week, and yeah, there were some standouts, and probably the big obvious one that we know of is Harley Reid, who I imagine everyone's got locked in their teams.
Well, he's the most selected player, and I thought, I guess that's where we probably should start. I don't know if you're a little bit to blame at this as well, Schmooky being over there, but is there a day that goes by without him being a media story?
I'm not to blame for this. I reckon he spent 12 days on the back of the paper, Harley Reid, after he arrived in Perth. And he's the biggest story in town, or he was for that little period. And it almost feels like now we write about Harley Reid and there's no impact because everyone knows it. It's obvious. It's obvious he's going to be a star. And, yeah, I think we saw that in the match sim that they did last week where he just dominated the game for the first 20 minutes and did a bit of everything.
So the fantasy community got a little bit of a buzz when Simpson said, he's going off the half back. Is that going to be a bit of a real thing? What do you see as his role? Is it going to be a bit of a mix between that and the midfield?
Yeah, it looks like that'll be part of his role. So he'll be one of those half backs, I reckon, who starts there but then has a bit of a license to be creative, be attacking. You do see him floating up the ground a fair bit with the play. So I've seen him pop up at half forward, just following the ball, and he was a regular in the centre bounce, especially for that first 20-minute period of match sim last week, and he really stood out. And I thought to myself, I've just got to give him midfield opportunities. If his body holds up and he's physically able to go with players, why not? I reckon he looks ready, and West Coast, they're not the strongest midfield, obviously, but he was just smashing it in there, and I hope that's a big part of his role in 2024.
What about Clay Hall, midfielder, 200k? I heard his name pop up a few times.
Yeah, well, he was another one who was in there most centre bounces, and I mean, big body is the thing that stands out for him as a draftee. So, yeah, he can find the ball, that's for sure. He was doing that at under 18 level, just racking up disposal. Can play a bit of a defensive role as well in the midfield, so who knows, that might be part of his game early, but no, I'm really impressed with him from what I saw last week, especially.
That was Warnie's role when he was playing. He was a big-bodied midfielder as well.
No, that's a big-bodied forward pocket. That's all I was. It's about as far as that went.
You kick goals off the ground all the time. You're so lazy.
Yeah. You know how they talk about metres gained? Yes. I reckon I had a season where I might have kicked not many goals, but say a dozen goals.
Yep.
Combined, 38 metres, I reckon it would have been.
Anyway, I've got another name for you here, mate. Off the back of Shannon Hearn's retirement, what about Witho, our mate Alex Witherden back there in defence? How's he looking?
Yeah, he's looking okay. So, I mean, the thing with Witho, I reckon, is maybe biting off a bit more than he can chew sometimes. And, yeah, I do like him as a player, and the one that I think maybe is Liam Duggan without Shannon Hearn there. I think he's the guy who can maybe take a bit more of that responsibility in defence, and he's even popped up in the midfield a little bit. Looks really good on the track, looks really fit, and then there's obviously the co-captaincy aspect to him as well. So, yeah, I think Liam Duggan, if we're going to think about players who can take a bit from Shannon Hearn and what he leaves behind, it's probably Duggo.
So Duggan, he's one that I'm certainly watching very closely now. Through early in the season, but especially in the middle of the season, his kick-outs were, pretty consistent. But the last 5 weeks or so, they really dried up. And, he still scored well, but access to that extra, 15 or so points is significant.
Especially at West Coast.
Now, hard for you to see, I'll call this from what you've seen so far, but do you think he would be the man that they would want kicking it out?
It'd be one of. I'm not going to lock that in, Roy, but I'll put it on my watch list.
Yeah.
Put that as something to keep an eye on in match sim, and I'll report back to you.
Thank you.
Now, we're still talking defenders, but I don't know if he's going to totally be a defender. He's got defender status in fantasy, and that's Elliot Yeo. So this could be redundant by the time this podcast comes out, because that's what it feels like with Yeo sometimes with injuries. But is he going all right? Because he popped up a little bit in your report from last week.
Yeah, he's one that I'm happy talking about from a purely track-watching point of view, because you just get nervous, don't you, with Yoey? And we were talking about him in this capacity same time last year, about being a bargain in the midfield, and he was looking great, and then injury hits. So, yeah, purely from a track-watching point of view, he looks great. Elliot Yeo, he's got that aggression, he's looking comfortable, he's looking strong.
Yeah, what's that role going to look like? Yeah.
It's going to be midfield, I think. And there might be, if Harley's playing half-back, maybe those two become the guys who switch with each other. But, yeah, from a match sim point of view last week, he was in, I would say, almost every centre bounce.
We were excited about him this time last year and locking him in until he got injured. a week before the season started.
We're not that stupid.
He's pretty
mate.
much the same price.
Yeah, but we're not doing this
And
again.
he's playing in the midfield.
We're not doing this again. Stop it, you
I'm
two. Schmooky.
considering taking him off the never again
Calvin.
list.
Yes, mate?
No, if you play him, I'll play him.
Right.
Let's make a deal. Like, if he's fit, he's fit and available, put him in.
I couldn't do it to you.
All right, there's going to be plenty to watch from West Coast, and I'm sure we'll get some more intel from you at some other point of the pre-season, Schmooky. We'll all be reading your article on afl.com.au, but we'll head to Freo, who... There's tongues wagging there at Freo as well. As we said, WA is just going off for fantasy at the moment. So what have you got out of Freo? And I guess let's start with, and I know it's a funny one to start with, is Nat Fyfe. And I know you don't get extra points for taking like one-handed marks and stuff, but that was all part of a bit of a package of him looking pretty good.
Yeah, the one-handed mark was the cream on top of a really good midfield performance, and he's definitely in my thoughts from a fantasy point of view, and I'm just excited, about seeing him at full flight for the first time. It's been 4 years interrupted by injury, so massive red flag obviously there, but it's a big decision, isn't it, for fantasy coaches and also for Freo. But if he's fit, he's looking comfortable out there, he's running well, he looks strong. I can see him, if he's fit come round one, playing a really prominent midfield role because he fits what they missed last year. They needed some bigger bodies in there, and that's what he brings, a bash and crash style and sort of letting those craftier guys on the outside just win a bit easier, some easier footy,
so
which is what they need.
He's priced at under 500k.
Price of Joe. Yeah.
We've got a forward line that's full of rubbish.
Yeah. Yep.
We can't pick them, but is that, I don't know, like it's worth a pick? Would you put him in your team at the moment, Schmooky, if round one started tomorrow?
It's a risk worth taking, I think, with Nat Fyfe. So you're probably picking him similar to Elliot Yeo. You'd be picking him in your starting team, maybe preparing that you're going to have to trade him at some point.
Yeah.
But there might be...
But if he gets through half a dozen weeks of good form and, he makes plenty of coin for us.
Exactly.
Midfield role. Are you happy to tick off Keidean Young as a permanent midfielder now?
Definitely. Yep. From what I saw last week in training, it's permanent midfield role for him. I didn't see him drift back at all. So,
good. We'll tick that one off.
So
starting centre bounces.
That's just like the defender come midfielder, like a Jordan Dawson type dude.
Yeah.
That's just what they're going to do because he's a big unit.
One flag for him was the tagging stuff that he did end of last year. That's, it's a potential if they want to tag. Maybe Keidean Young's the guy that they turn to. James Aish looks like he's swapping to a halfback role rather than being on that wing and rotating inside. So I think Keidean Young might be the player that occasionally they'll turn to for run with jobs.
So that midfield is like pretty good. Like you're not knocking out Brayshaw or Sarong. So there might be a bit of a mix there of guys running through as we might like to call him, a third banana at times.
He loves saying that.
Running that through. But we talk about sort of some of their midfielders. Jeremy Sharp, he's come over from, Gold Coast, essentially. Is he going to get that wing spot, do you think?
I've got him as their number one wing at the moment. Wow. From the impact that he made early before Christmas when he got here with his fitness work and the way that he's converted that now. He had a really strong match sim early last week. He was a bit quieter in the Australia Day stuff that they did. Didn't get as much of the footy, but still ran. He just runs so hard on that wing. And, I would have him right now as probably their leading winger. That was, James Aish was probably their most consistent last year, but he's going to half back. So I think at the moment, Jeremy Sharp would be the number one. I think Heath Chapman is the other guy who they'd love on that other wing. So probably 1 and 2. Nathan O'Driscoll would be in that mix as well. And but I think Jeremy Sharp, you could probably, I'm not going to say lock him in as a winger, but I'd say he's leading the race right now.
So you happy to say that Chapman's in their best 22?
Yeah, I love Heath Chapman. I love what he brings, and they want someone with a bit of size and marking power on the wing as well, which he brings, and he's got that defensive smart as well, where he can drift back when they need him to and play that defensive winger role. That's
going to be the question about him, because a few people are very keen on him for fantasy, and he's in about 8.5% of teams. Do we want a wing role for him? Do we want him to be more of that in the back line to get probably some easier.
He's under 500k.
Yeah, well, he's cheap.
It's pretty cheap.
It is very cheap.
Right, well, I guess, that's a very interesting one there as well. So, Rucks, where's Darcy at the moment? Is he going to be fit, and is that just going to look much the same as what that has done in the past, do you think, with him and LJ?
Yeah, well, I had my doubts on whether he'd get there for round one, but seeing him drift in and play 30 minutes sort of on and off the ground have matched him on Australia Day, that was really encouraging. So now sort of more thinking that he will get there for round one. And what that means for Jackson, he did a bit of everything. He was one of the best players on the ground, starting forward and kicking a big goal. He went into the midfield, played as a ground level midfielder for a while and in the ruck as well. So I think that's what they want to do with him. They want him to be a bit of a wild card type player who they just put where they want. So probably one, I don't know if I'd start with Jackson, but definitely if Darcy goes down, you don't want to miss that boat.
Yeah, he's too good without.
Now, speaking of wild cards, you've got one for us in Jordan Clark. Fill us in.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's one that he just caught my eye a lot in match sim. A lot of the footy tended to go through him as far as those sideways kicks, kick-ins. He's got a big kick. He's fast. I don't know, I looked up his stats from last year. Played 23 games, 100.7 average in his last three, and priced at 690k. I just reckon without Hayden Young, he's a guy who could definitely be an improver next year. And you're always looking for those players sort of on your squad, aren't you? You're looking for guys who are going to make a massive leap. You're looking for rookies who are going to play, but you're also looking for a few guys who can be solid for you and really improve. And I think that could be Jordan Clark next year. And from all reports inside Fremantle, he was one of the really big performers fitness-wise in the off-season, one of the leaders who sort of got a lot of the guys together. And, I think he's going to be a big player this year without Hayden Young in that back line.
I just checked the sports bet market, boys, and Schmooky's gone into $1.10 for Fantasy Journal of the Year.
Let's go.
Well, Schmooky, you did nail your Caleb Sarong last year, so is this the one that you're going to be putting your little Fantasy Journo hat on?
Oh, may as well. I'll put him in my team. There you go. I'll put my money where my mouth is.
That's a leap.
That's
a leap.
Caleb Sarong as well. He's taking another step up, I think.
Is he?
He looked brilliant last week, and I'm just going to keep watching him. So 108 last year, I think he's average, and you're paying up for him. So
can you average? Can you average more than Brayshaw?
I think so.
Ooh.
I think Brayshaw's a guy that I reckon Brayshaw's maybe one who would be better than Sarong on a wing. And when they're looking for an inside mid, given they're going to be pretty crowded in there, when they're looking for an inside mid to just rotate out, spend a bit of time running a wing, I think Brayshaw's probably more likely to do that than Sarong. And maybe Johnson spends a bit of time in the centre bounce and rotates wing as well. So they got a bit of a squeeze on there, Freo.
Yeah.
It's a watch. It's just a big watch for the next month to see how that inside mid settles, see who their main guys are, and then we can make a few decisions at Freo.
Just a massive bunch of bananas cowing.
Isn't there ever? Bananas everywhere.
Schmooky, thanks so much for your time, mate. We appreciate your intel because it is super important. WA is a hot place for fantasy because, it is the fantasy capital of Australia. Thanks so much for your time.
Awesome to chat to you guys. Catch you later.
Well, that was a good run around the grounds there. There is that much intel in all of that stuff there. Schmooky, we could nearly make a full podcast out of it.
I know.
He's good at it.
He knows his stuff.
And he is, just quietly, he is that favourite,
Yeah,
$1.10.
$1.10 on the market.
The thing is, it's not like the AFL players. They don't have to wait till round one to get 3 votes.
No.
That's it.
You can pick it up at any time during the year.
And we're happy
pretty happy about himself going out on Australia Day morning.
He was.
Well.
Bit of self-promotion.
This will get me over the line from a Mitch Cleary who's working hard this pre-season as well. Anyway, it's good. Now, before we wrap up, boys, you might have noticed on afl.com.au popped up a team of the most popular players. We always do that pretty much at the end of January to see what that looks like. And it's quite interesting.
Yes,
because
it
there's
is.
a lot of players that I won't be picking that are in the popular team.
100%. I've had a look across it, and it is very similar to a team I would pick if there was no
Yes, agree.
swingers round.
Yes, the opening round. The opening round.
So let's look at them. Let's go
Not gonna
back
catch
line
on.
to start with. We've
not gonna
got
catch on.
Nick Dacos is there. Now, we're all off him, aren't we?
We have to be. Tag in round 4. right, if Finn McInnes is
This
there.
could burn us because he's
Could.
that good.
You know what he's going to do.
However, I'm happy with that buy.
Could still be hard to get him. That's the thing. We're not picking him because we think he's even. We're not picking him. We're not picking him. Far out. Can I even say words?
No.
We're not starting him because we think that he's going to be super cheap later on.
No.
Oh, hell
We're
no.
not in any mind that that's going to be. It's just going to be, can we spend our cash better?
He could come out and just go bang, bang,
in
bang.
your face.
Like he was at 122 in the first 6 games.
Yeah.
Like we talked about off the top, he's going to be one of those players. Like his round 0 score,
Yeah.
his opening round score could actually dictate
Yeah.
some things. If it sucks, then we're all going to be feeling okay about not starting him. But if he goes and pumps a 125,
Oh, he's going.
which he will,
He could easily do it.
Of course he will.
That's going to make things interesting in
will.
starting.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said Kitty Coleman's another one, which I love the value of. 100%
okay,
love the
same,
value
yeah.
of it. And we saw what he obviously did in that grand final. He's going 90 and he's priced at under 70.
Yeah. A bargain.
But round 2 buy.
Horrible.
Zach Williams there. So it's those two. I think in a way you can only pick one of them if you are going to pick.
Yeah, so I think we just
Hard
go
to
the cheaper.
So then in the midfield, Tom Green's there, which I love. Cow doesn't.
I'm a Tom Green fan.
He's going to be huge.
He's going to be
this year.
great. He's going to be great. But you can't start with
Some people have felt like, because they've got the round 3 buy, is that you could flick him
Oh,
the buy. I don't want to get pretty with
if
that.
you've got him, you want to keep him.
Yeah. Because he's got a great fixture. Like, from memory, it's like North Melbourne and West Coast in his first 2.
Oh, no wonder they're doing
Captain
it.
of
He does.
You just,
Hey.
well, that's where I'm saying. If you
Scale and
have
captaincy.
faith
Woo!
that you could cover him with someone serviceable,
Yep.
you can do it.
Agree.
Because him and Sam Walsh, they are way too good for us not to start with.
Agree.
And, yeah, Walsh is there too. And then in the rucks are both by players, in Gone and Grundy, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No, it's good.
I think you can roll
It's
with
good
that.
combo.
So that forward line, half of them have got a buy, and that's Flanders, Taylor Adams and Finlay Macrae as 3 of the 6 most popular forwards there.
Flanders could be one we scramble to get. Like,
And they've got, the round 3 buy.
he could come out.
Every time you shuffle your team, it's him that you can afford,
Yep.
but you just don't want that buy.
You know, yeah. Again, we probably wouldn't have any worries about starting him
No.
if there were no buys.
Hell no.
Agree.
Anyway, that's what that's looking like, and probably what's going to be more important later this week, boys. Warn Dogs are going to announce a team. Reveal a
Start
team.
laughing now, Roy.
It will be better than what you put out there
Here we
before
go.
Christmas. You can click back on that at afl.com.au/fantasy and go back prior to the club previews. Calvin put his team out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't good.
Or did he?
You're confident with what your team is at the moment, though.
My
aren't you?
team's a lead at the moment, yes.
Anyway, I think that's about where we're at. We're back. Pre-season. We've hit the ground running today.
We have.
I think we've had a very good episode, and that one felt pretty good off the
I'm glad
off the tongue.
Schmooky came in and saved us.
Yeah,
That
no,
was great.
Schmooky.
Yes, he did too.
Thanks very much for tuning in. If you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go and hit a rating and review. If you're on Spotify, where more and more people appear to be listening to it, go and click that 5-star, hit the follow button, and then you can get it in your little podcast feed and,
Yeah,
and
100%.
enjoy listening to Calvin talking about swingers and stuff.
Hey.
What the heck?
Yeah, I know. We lost the plot.
Bring your Ben Keys.
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks, Schmooky. And we'll see you for our Burning Questions podcast later in this week, where make sure you look out for the social media posts and pose your questions there. You ripper!
Will we?
The swingers party!
You've been listening to the official AFL Fantasy podcast. For more expert advice from the traders, head to afl.com.au/fantasy.